Welcome back, ladies. This is Marlis Hübner. I am super thrilled that you are here with me today for Module 3, which is going to be all about finding your passion and purpose, finding your why, for doing what you are doing, and, creating your SMART goals and designing your personal career mom vision. This is one of my favorite modules as, looking back when I was still struggling with the load of family and work life. I remember that, getting clear on my why and my goals was really the breakthrough for me to, see a different way and see a way out, for the first time of the juggling, craziness that we have going on as working moms. And, only after I was clear on my goals and I really knew what I wanted, I basically stopped going in circles. I stopped rushing, I stopped being exhausted. And we all have our dreams, but only when we really dare to write them down and get very clear and specific with them, they can actually manifest into our own reality. So, a wish remains a dream very often for most people. However, if you frame your wish as a goal, that's when it will turn, your dream into a plan with a deadline. So, we will also discover, your passion and purpose this week. Getting in touch with your why will help you gain clarity on why you do what you do. You will know exactly who and what is the most important to you and what you should be focusing on in your role as a career mom. You will be able to set clear directions and define priorities in your life much faster and much easier because it will be aligned with your why and your goals. And so the way I want you to think about this week is kind of a little bit as in like take it as an experiment. This week is a very exploratory week, and I encourage you to embrace it with passion and joy. Truly enjoy diving deep into your why and goal settings. Use your intuition and gut feeling to find the answers. Don't overthink anything, just go with the flow. There are no right or wrong answers here, really. You are in a totally safe place, with yourself and a piece of paper. And so, feel your way through the exercises. And I want you to remember that if a decision feels complete, if a decision feels easy, feels satisfying and good to you, I want you to stick to it because it is most likely the right one. So really let your emotions guide you. And if at any time you feel stuck, or you kind of feel there's really nothing coming out of my brain today, then don't force it. Take a break, establish a distance to what you're doing, walk away from the exercise and revisit it at a later point in the day, or, even a day later, as long as you come back to it. That's important here, right? And because, this whole thing should really not feel forced. And, if there is some sort of resistance that you feel, try to find where the source to that resistance is coming from and, help you guide yourself back, back towards a place you're supposed to be as a passionate career mom. So this week, consists of, three major assignments to help you find your desires, and set yourself up and prepare yourself for a thriving career mom life. So first, as I mentioned, we're going to identify your passion and purpose by looking into your why. And part of this exercise you will be doing in the workbook, but then we are also going to work together on this in our coaching session. Second, you are going to create SMART goals for different areas in your life. And I will elaborate on those more later in the presentation. And, last, you are going to design your personal vision board following a step-by-step process. So let's begin with your passion and purpose. We all do things for a reason. You are today in the place where you are for several reasons, and for the choices that you've made up until now. You choose your career for a certain reason, or for several reasons. You chose to become a mom for various reasons, right? And most of the time we are not really aware of what our true motivations are. A lot of the times we do things because they are expected that way. So for example, we've been told to be good at school, bring home good grades, and when you get those good grades, your chances to get a decent and well-paid job are much higher and better. And then once we start working, we really work very hard and in order to be successful, right? But it feels right now, as a working mom, that success comes at a price, which for us working moms, a lot of the times is giving up that time with our loved ones. So finding your why will be your enabler to start uniting career and family. Because, there's no such thing as a professional or a personal why. It is not about who we aspire to be, but who we are when we are at our natural best, and leveraging our natural best. We can do this in any area of our lives, right? So I came across, the importance of finding your why when I first read Simon Sinek's book called Start with Why. And I think I have it listed in the membership site. If you have any passion and desire for this, I highly recommend for you to read it. He also has a TED Talk on this topic. So if you don't have the time for a book, go and check out the 10-minute TED Talk. It's super inspirational and valuable. And while his book is mainly directed at companies, I could easily translate this to my role as a career mom. There is a strong sense of fulfillment, happiness and inner peace you get once you have clarity on why you do what you do every day. And when you have this clarity of who you are, when you are at your natural best, things are just gonna fall into place. Again, they will feel natural, and it's almost like they're flying to you, they're coming to you because you're gonna attract it, right? So here I've also provided for you my personal why statement as an example, which is to unleash people's inner potential so they can be the best version of themselves and live life with passion and joy. The reason this is my why is that, one day I realized I'm actually the happiest when I observe other people going beyond the mediocre, when I see people, overcoming their inner doubts and fears and really make it, to achieve the exceptional, the extraordinary. I truly thrive from helping people see, that there's so much more inside them than they, probably believe about themselves. And, I'm an enthusiast and a strong believer in that there are basically no problems that do not have a solution. There is a good thing coming out of every problem. And I've always been like that. But when I got lost to the overwhelm that the career mom world brings with it, I had totally lost sight of that. And so that's where, Simon Sinek and his Start With Why came really in at the right time for me. And, what did this really change for me once I knew my why? Well, it changed everything, because then, I could go on and establish, and investigate, do I really live according to my why today or not? So, I asked myself as a mom, do I truly behave in that way towards my kids? And of course, I found out that that was not the case, right? Because I had again, because of the overwhelm that career moms brings with it, I had lost sight of the important and got off track basically. So, once I was clear on my why, I implemented the steps it took to form, the relationship with my kids and also my husband that were deeply rooted in my why. I started, applying this at work, which gave me so much energy and joy back of what I was doing because it felt so natural and easy to me. And plus, it saved me at least 1 hour a day as I was leveraging my natural talents much more frequently. And, if you, again, also leverage your natural talents that are rooted in your why, you are going to save a lot of energy. Your energy levels will remain high and will maintain. All right, so to find your why, we are going to follow the process from the godfather of, Start With Why, so Simon Sinek. He created a very simple framework to get you to your why. And it is basically about finding, your greatest contribution as a career mom, as, you, that will have the impact you desire to have on the people and the environment around you. And it's literally a sentence that starts with to do XYZ so that you can have the impact XYZ. And again, it's a super, super simple framework. And usually, the things that are the simplest are usually the best, but it doesn't mean, they're also they're the easiest to get there. Sorry, I was jumping a little bit ahead. So let me give you some, thought starters to find your why. So last week, you looked into stories from the past that shaped you as a career mom. Focus on those that gave you the greatest joy and power. What made you so happy about that memory? What is so special about that particular story? You want to look for stories that show who you are when you are at your natural best. And this can be any stories from any time in your past. Go as far back as your memory takes you and try to be as specific as possible. Always, include a time and the place and a specific moment, as this will help you recall the emotions, which are, really the key here to get to your why. So it's not necessarily, what exactly happened, but it's more really to understand what kind of feelings did what happened generate inside you. So really try digging deep into the details and remember the feeling you took away from these stories. Think about who in your life has shaped you the most in becoming the career mom you are today, has shaped you the most in how you navigate the day-to-day as a mom and professional. Can you find your earliest, happiest childhood memory? What is it? Why do you think you were so happy? Who was there? Can you, think also about a situation at work when you felt happiest? Again, what was so important about that situation? Who was involved in that situation? What exactly happened? And what feelings were you experiencing? What things have you achieved in your life that you are really proud of? Who was part of that achievement? Who enabled you? And in what way did they enable you? And also think about what was the worst day in your life? Why was it your worst day? And what exactly happened? How did you feel? What was the, miserable feeling you were carrying along? Because this, will help you, get clarity on what you really want to do, but also on what you want to stay, away from. So again, try digging deep into these memories and pull out everything you can. The goal here really is to find and look for common underlying themes. These are usually strong indicators for your why and help you build your why statement. And as said at the beginning, I don't want you to overthink it too much. Just let it flow. The expectation here really is to take a first step at this and see whether you can identify some common patterns. In our next coaching session, I will be your partner listening to your stories, and I will most likely also push you out of your comfort zone to uncover the memories that will help you frame your why. So for this part, really focus on identifying and capturing those stories, using the thought starter questions, which you can also find in your workbook. And, look out for those patterns. And then bring your stories along to the coaching session, and we will frame your why from there. Okay, so let's move on to creating your goals as a career mom. So here we are going to follow a very common framework called SMART goal setting. And some of you might be familiar with this. It's typically used in big companies, to enable teams deliver critical projects and stay on task. So again, I found this to be extremely helpful for me to gain clarity on how I want to live my role as a career mom with less rush and stress by making sure I focus on the things that are truly important to me. I also really love goal setting because goals help us believe in ourselves, and they give us a strong sense of satisfaction. They also give us a strong sense of purpose and inspiration for personal growth, which is what every human being desires. They are pure oxygen for our lungs to breathe and survive in the busy world of a working mom. They help us overcome the feeling of panic and stress that there is never enough time for the things on our to-do list. And they also help us stay, focused and on track with our tasks. And for us working moms, goals really can serve as a lifesaver to help us stop rushing from one area in our life to the next, completely out of breath and with not sufficient oxygen in our lungs. This is why we are going to set goals that also help you unite your career and family for you. All right, so what are SMART goals? SMART goals have 5 characteristics that need to be true in order for the goal to be achievable and not simply remain a dream. So for a starter, your goal should be specific, which means it, should either include some numbers, a time of the day, or simply it should refer to a very, certain person, most likely you, or a certain event. So instead of saying, I want to lose weight, I want you to write down, I want to lose 10 pounds over the next 10 weeks. Or instead of saying, I promise I will spend more time with you, my little daughter, I want you to say, I promise I will spend 1 hour with you tomorrow after work. And, this specificity really is extremely important when you make promises to your children. Because if you give them a hook, which is a time or like a certain routine that you have, if you tie your promise to dinner or a time after work or at lunch, they can really understand that. And they will also hold you accountable for it, right? Whereas if you just say, oh, I promise I will have more time next week, they don't really fully understand that. When is next week? Is it Monday? Is it Wednesday? Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? So, being very specific will also, help you and your kids to stick to your promises, right? So, really move from very general to much more specific statements. Second, your goal should be measurable, which means I want you to think about a measure that helps you understand whether you have achieved your goal. How do you know that you have achieved your goal? And again, this can be a number you can simply measure. That is always the easiest, like in the weight loss example, or it can be a feeling. So, for example, for me, it was, I really wanted to stop yelling at my kids at bedtime because that's when it seemed to happen the most often. So the way I knew that I had achieved my goal is I replaced stop yelling with the feeling that I wanted to achieve. And the feeling I wanted to have was being calm and, talking in a monotone and steady voice and don't raise my voice. So once, I got to the point where I realized I'm calm, I knew this is that I've achieved my goals. Third, your goals need to be attainable. So your goals cannot be fluffy, because if they're fluffy, there's a great chance that you are going to set yourself up for failure. Make sure your goals are challenging, but also realistic and achievable at the same time. Also, your goals need to be relevant to you. Please, only choose goals that you have a strong desire to achieve. Basically, a strong why to achieve. So ideally, they are rooted and flow off your why and help you live out your why. Just saying something like, I don't know, I want to buy a bigger car next year, which can be super important to you, but it might not be super important. So really, I want you to investigate each of your goals, why they matter to you. And I mean, do you just want to buy a bigger car because everybody in the neighborhood around you drives a bigger car than you? That's probably not a good enough motivation. Okay, so really think about, what would that bigger car enable you to do, and why is it relevant to you? And last, your goal should be timely. So for each goal, set yourself a target date, or if it is a very long-term goal, several intermediate target dates are super helpful as well. Having an end date will make that goal much more urgent for you and also help you stay on track and focused to achieve it. There is really no guideline for what is a right time. It can be anything from tomorrow to, over the next 5 years or even longer. Pick a time that makes the most sense for you and for that particular goal. It should be a time that feels stretchy, but not unrealistic. Evaluate your resources and the urgency of your goal to identify an appropriate timeline. And before, you go into proper goal setting, I want you to literally dump out your brain and think about the areas that I have listed here. So your career, your role as a mom, your role as a wife, your physical well-being, your finances, your traveling desires, your personal growth, your spiritual well-being, and your social expectations. Looking at each of these areas, I want you to empty the thoughts in your brain on a platter and think about it in the following way. What is it that I want to be, I want to do, or I want to have for each of those areas, and why do I want it? So, finish the sentence, I want to be or have or do XYZ because it will enable me to do, be, or have XYZ. I want to be or have or do XYZ so that I can. So to give you a more concrete example, I want to be a mom that picks up her kids from school 3 times a week so that I can fulfill my need for being with the ones that I love. Okay? Or I want to have the courage to ask for my pay raise in the next 3 months because I know what I am worth. So once you've brainstormed a little bit about each of those areas, I want you to pick out the 5 most important goals to you. Name each goal and see the change in language. we are now going to move from I want to I will. This is important as it gives you a much stronger sense of urgency and a much stronger commitment to yourself. Your goal already becomes much more of a reality. So for each goal, start your sentence with I will, and then write 3 reasons why you want to achieve that particular goal. Write down what is currently holding you back from achieving your goal. What does it take to get there, and how are you planning to get there? And most importantly, by when? So once you have achieved the goal, or one goal or 2 goals, cross it out of your list, cross it off your list, reward yourself and celebrate big time. Add a new goal and plan to revisit your goals as often as it makes sense to you. I recommend to stick to 5 goals a time because that is a good number to be handled and is not a number that is too overwhelming. But, of course, if you want to go with more goals, that is totally fine. And if you feel more comfortable with a lower number of goals, that is totally fine too. The important part is to get into the habit of creating goals, following this process, because it will be extremely rewarding and uplifting for your personal well-being and really take out a lot of that blurriness that is going on around you right now. And I also want you to push aside any fears right now. This is not the place for fears. Really, listen to your gut and put what you desire to have. And if if it is too stretchy, then start with, lower expectations. Be a bit, more realistic. And once you familiarize yourself with the process of creating goals, you can then, dare to become a bit more stretchy and, have bigger goals as well. All right, so this brings us to the last assignment for this week, which is all about creating your vision board. Again, I want you to embrace this assignment. Don't limit yourself and wonder, how will I ever achieve my vision? I really want you to think about your vision as if resources and money didn't matter for now. As I said, think about this whole week as an experiment, right? This is not a time to prejudge. Just let your thoughts flow and capture them, and always write down what pops first into your mind. Vision boards are really the most powerful tool to visualize your goals and dreams. They serve as your image of your future. Because your brain constantly works to achieve what you feed into its subconscious mind. And if you feed it with the right images and affirmations of your goals, you are destined to achieve them. Vision boards are a tangible representation of where you are going. They really represent your dreams and your goals and your ideal life. And they show the feelings you want to attract in your life. And the key word here really is attraction. Think about what kind of feelings are you missing out on today? What kind of feelings you are not getting enough of today that you really desire and that you need, that you want to attract in your life to be truly happy and fulfilling as a career mom. There are millions of inspirations on the internet when it comes to vision boards. You can simply go on Google and find, tons of examples. I have put for you 2 examples here that I particularly like, and there's also a few more on, in the workbook. There are basically 2 approaches you can take to create your own vision board. The more traditional approach is to get yourself a poster-sized cardboard. That's what I did because I really like to get hands-on with the material. And I like to have it, sitting, next to my bed in my bedroom. And the other way is, if you're really tech savvy, you can do this all online these days, right? So in the workbook, I've listed a few names of websites. I think some of them are free, some of them are associated with a cost. But you could go online and create your vision board online, and I think there's even apps you can download and do it directly on your phone. So whatever format works for you, pick one, and then follow this process. So find pictures that represent the experience, the feelings, and the possessions you want to attract in your life. So these could be, any cutouts from magazines, personal photographs, or any other inspirational photographs, past memories that you want to, experience that have given you a lot of joy, or anything that has a personal meaning to you, any kind of objects or simply stimulating images you can find on the internet. There is no limitation to this. Whatever works for you and whatever comes to your mind will serve you well. Be creative and include any things and items that speak to you, including symbols and personal items. Place a picture, and this is, super important, of the happiest version of yourself in the center of the board. And again, this can be a picture from, the last couple of days, or this can be a picture from when you were 5 years old. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's important. The important one is, I want you to put a picture of you with the biggest, craziest smile that you have on your face. Write down your affirmations and any inspirational quotes and words or thoughts that you have, and think about how this can all help you unite career, family within yourself. Take a picture of the board if it's a physical board, and submit it to me through the membership site, so we can talk about it in our next coaching session. So to really keep this vision top of mind, I want you to look at your board every night before you go to bed and every morning when you wake up. Why is night and morning important? Because the thoughts and images that are present in our minds 45 minutes before you go to sleep are those that will play themselves repeatedly in your subconscious mind overnight. And the images that you look at in the morning will help you create the future of that particular day and further out. So as time goes by, feel gratitude for what you have already achieved. Vision boards are, living inspirations that, basically exist in a fluidic state. And you can create a new vision board like every year if you want to. The important part is, don't throw the old ones out, keep them, don't change them. It's always best to create new ones. And, because most of the time, in particular, the feelings you want to attract, they're most likely not going to change that much. They might evolve, but, you can carry them over to your new vision board. And then what I found, what is changing most often is, kind of the experiences you want to attract and the possessions. So you can update that along with the feelings you want to maintain moving forward. So this brings us already to the end of module 3. Go ahead and download your workbook, start working on it and complete the questions in the workbook. Have a first go at identifying your why. And as mentioned, we will be digging deeper into your why in our coaching session. Get clear on your goals and identify your top 5 priorities and create your personal vision board that lists the feelings and possessions and experiences, and goals that you want to attract the most in your life. And, as always, I will leave you with a quote, which is today from, a quote that is very common in the law of attraction for those of you that are familiar with it. If you can imagine it in your mind, you can experience it in your reality. And, creating your goals and your vision board will help you, turn your thoughts into your own reality. So, with that, my dear ladies, it's been a great pleasure, as always, having you here today. Again, look at this as a, look forward to, these experiential exercises. I want you to embrace them and, as always, just have fun with them, right? So, take care and speak to you soon. Bye bye.